Well, hello and welcome, everybody. We are Discovered Magic Podcast. I don't know why I said it that way.
Podcast. There's a lot of podcast.
I am Jason.
I am Steve.
And I'm Jeffrey.
Like, do you own Toys R Us or?
I do.
No, that's Joffrey.
No, it's Jeff.
With a G. Mine's with a J because I'm not a serial killer.
Yeah.
Well, if this is your first time here,
that's how you can. Well, actually, that's not. It's not.
Wait, what did you say?
I'm like, that's how you can tell the difference between a serial killer.
Oh, okay.
A Jeffrey between the G and the J. I'm like, actually, oh, nope, it's not. Dang it.
There's some cop out there spelled with a G, and he's like, "Come on."
No, like Jeffrey Dahmer, like you know. So just call me Jeff for short, because I'm not into that sort of thing.
I'll just call you Goofy.
Goofy Doo.
You're a Goofy Doo.
I'm a Goofy. Just call me the Goofy Doo. Yeah. It's much better.
All right. As I was saying, if this is your first time here, be sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends and family. We do a video and audio format, and we try to do this twice a month. And
today's guest is...
Well, I was going to say, and one time it's an interview, and one time it's like a conversation. This time happens to be an interview with this guy.
That guy.
Which is going to be really hard to swing now.
Yeah.
I'm just used to talking with y'all. I'm not used to
now
being
you can
in the hot
talk
seat,
about yourself.
Well, let's make it short.
Wizards and witches, wherever you dwell, give us a hint by ringing the bell.
Wind's in the east, mist coming in. Like something is brewing, about to begin.
This candle blessed us with a miracle.
Take it, Kronk. Feel the power.
Oh, I can feel it.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
There's no mystical energy field controls my destiny. It's all a lot of simple tricks and nonsense.
Well, I happen to be a wizard, a soothsayer, a prognosticator.
Some all-powerful genie. You probably can't even get us out of this cave.
Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader.
New message.
Hey guys, this is Jason calling from the show. First, I just wanted to apologize because this episode, this interview with Jeff is about a week and a half late. We had some busy schedules and some personal things going on, but we are back on track, and we will have our regular Concilium live episode here this Sunday. I also wanted to say that we are taking a part in a Disney pod battle, and we will fight until the last pod is left casting. It is being put on by some good friends of ours who have a new podcast called Beyond the Railroad Podcast. And this Saturday, voting begins at 7 a.m. And to fight the battle, you must vote for us, and we will smash the other podcast, I guess. Or we'll have fun trying. Be sure to vote for us this Saturday and check out their podcast. Links down in the description. Subscribe to us. And usually make some kind of fake message here, but just want to let you know you guys can give us a shout out or say something or leave a comment or whatever you want to say. You can say it in a voice message and we may play on the next show. So instead of hearing this message right here, you would hear your own. Give it a try. Link down in the description. Be sure to follow us at discoveredmagic.com.
Okay, he does Goofy impersonations. We're done.
Yeah, and go.
Yeah. So I they call me the Goofy Dupe because I love voice acting. I love, I study Goofy's voice very passionately and intentionally, and not just Goofy's voice, but I love Bill Farmer. He's my favorite Goofy, and I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times, and I to this day, I just, I wake up every morning with a, well, gorsh in my heart, and I just, if you got a gorsh in your heart, then the rest of the day is good. And
I think if normal people have a gorsh in their heart, it might be like not good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And if you can do that, then life's pretty good. Like it's we'll make this an inspirational sort of interview. It's like, where's the gorsh inside you? I could flip it in a positive.
That's your book. That's coming out. Where's the gorsh in you?
Yeah.
So when did you first find the gorsh in you?
Well, the gorsh in me. Oh man. Oh man. Well, it was if you ever watch this podcast, if you watch, some of my other stuff, which probably you haven't. Okay, let's be honest. My great cousin, I'm sort of related to Pat Buttram, who is a Disney voice actor. He's Label Sheriff of Nottingham, and the Aristocats. He was a well-beloved Disney actor, and I grew up, from a little kid, with a family, a story in my family, which was this is your great, you're related to this person. So, I'd pop in a VHS, and I would watch the Aristocats, or my favorite, the Robin Hood Disney movies. Yeah. And Label Sheriff of Nottingham was just, he's the voice, just having that voice in my family. So when I was a little kid, I used to just do his impression all the time on, even on my mom's what do you call it? Answering machine. Yeah. Well, if you like to make a message, well, just leave it at the beep. And it'd be like, I don't know who that, and people would be like, I don't know who the woman is that's on this other side of the phone, but okay, here's my message. If this is the family, but it was sweet, and it was and it shaped me in later years to come. So, my story is later in life, I bought a Labrador puppy, and his name is Duke, and he was just sweet. I never owned a dog before, my own dog, and I was driving him home. It was probably about 5 years ago. And, I was driving him home, and I'm like, oh, he's just so nervous. Like, how do you, a little puppy in my arm, I'm driving him home, and I just started singing him Disney songs, and I ran out of voices. I ran out of songs. And so I'm like, oh, man, what do I sing him? And then I dug deep into a Goofy movie, and which was my favorite, absolute favorite Disney movie growing up. But I never tried to sing the songs. I love the Powerline songs, but I was like, okay. Oh, if you need a break from modern living, well, if you long to shed your weary load, well, if your nerves are raw, your brain is fried, grab a friend and take a ride together upon the open road. And I was like, well, that wasn't too bad. Like, maybe I can do a Goofy voice.
That's good, buddy.
No, it's not too bad. And I was like, but he loved it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, he loved that song. And then so I started I'm like, I know Bill Farmer. I know that name, so I automatically knew, but I didn't know much about Bill or his voice. And I started deep diving, and then I started watching interviews with him, and lo and behold, he said and all these interviews just kept talking about Pat Buttram. And I was like, what? I'm like, that's my great cousin. And he had the story where when he was young, he would go to drive-through windows and Pat Buttram's voice to like, he'd go to like Burger King and be like, "I'll take a Whopper with cheese and a Coca-Cola to go for Arnold the Pig," or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was what I call in voice act a proto voice. Like that, for me, that was sort of my, the first voice that I ever did. And that was one of Bill's probably early voices he did. But to me, when I just started to do Goofy, or I say the Goofy voice found me, it was sort of, I already had that foundation. And so it was like, well, you go here to down here low. When you go, sometimes you go up and down, you go down low and up and down. And, it's an overlay of voicing. And so you kind of find what I call your anchor voice. And then I have a very low voice, but I talk on my higher register. And Goofy's tough, especially Bill's Goofy, because nobody can do it. Everyone goes, "Oh, hi, I'm Goofy." Well, your old pal, Goofy. Well, that's a tenor voice. Goofy is, "I'm down here low. Hey, Maxie." So that low, you got to have the lows, you got to have the highs. It's very tough to do Goofy, and that's why I say there's no other voice. Like I talk, in the world of Goofy, I study Bill very passionately, very intentionally, and it's a very tricky voice to do, and people like Donald Duck. I don't do a good Donald, but there are people that it's a trick voice. Mickey Mouse, like, "Oh boy, no, anyone." If you can do a falsetto, well, you can get better and you can shape it and but Goofy's very, very hard. Well, gotta go down low, land high. And it's punchy. There's just a lot of variety to the voice. And so that I love doing Goofy's voice. I love studying it. And I just, in my day-to-day life, like I'm a very amateur voice actor, but I brought a lot of joy in people's lives, and some people that just say, "Hey, sing me, happy birthday" in Goofy's voice, or just give a shout out, and my wife and I we will get old Goofy stories, like from and she's an amazing voiceover for she's a librarian, so she's always reading all the time anyway. So she'll be like, "Once upon a time, Goofy, blah, blah, blah." And I'll be like, "Whoa, howdy," whatever it is.
Does she read to like kids, like story time or something? Yeah.
Constantly,
that's cool.
Constantly. Yeah. So it's just a great fit. And so my Instagram page, my YouTube page, and all the other pages eventually I'll have is Goofy Stories. And I'm working on it this year. It's my, I don't have much on there now, but it's my goal this year. To really push it out and just to share with the world, because to bring a smile to people's faces, and I think voices do that,
and well, hopefully we'll be helping you on that.
Yeah.
We're in some shows.
Oh, your stuff's coming tomorrow, by the way, Jeff. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Steve is sending me some coasters, and I'm like, I'm so happy about that.
And the Goofy
got mine.
And Goofy pins. Oh yeah, I sent those
pins.
to,
oh my god.
Yeah, and you get the Goofy pins.
Thank you so much.
I only found
so happy.
3. I know I have way more than that.
That's okay. That sounds wonderful. I can't wait to get it.
All right. Well, we know where you are now, but how did you get into Disney? Like, was it just watching cartoons as a kid? Like, when did you discover your magic for your love of Disney?
The love of Disney came from they're like, growing up in the 90s. I mean, you can call this a false dichotomy, which I think it was. You're either a Disney person or a Warner Brother person. But you always had friends. Me too. Yeah. But you always had friends that were sort of tipping towards the other side, or your family sort of tipped. You know, it was like, are you Chevy or Ford? Are you Coke or Pepsi? It was like there was always these dichotomies in the 90s.
Well, there was always more cartoons, like Saturday morning cartoons that were not Disney. So
yeah, for sure. Hanna-Barbera. Well, that's like, you know, that's like if you're playing Pokemon, that's like Team Instinct, where you're just like eating glue and you're like nobody wants to be yellow. Although I am yellow on that game, so it's fine. So if you're Team Instinct, I'm one of you. But it kind of was. It was sort of like, well, my family, we went to Disney not often, but you know, we just, as much as I loved Warner Brothers, you know, Disney just sort of had this little special place in our hearts as a family and growing up. And
because you grew up in New Mexico, right?
In Albuquerque, around Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so, you know, not close to Florida, not close to California, but I remember by the time I hit 20, I probably went to Disneyland about 3 times. And, you know, Disney just always had, especially with Pat Buttram and the place of that Robin Hood movie in my heart. And, you know, Disney was always just we were always just slightly more of as much as I love Bugs Bunny and I love the Looney Tune characters, man, Bugs Bunny or Disney was just, we were just a little bit more on the Disney side, you know, just a little bit more on that team. And it was just, man, part of it was just going to the parks, you know, early in life. You know, I have home movies of me at 4 years old, just my first Disney, you know, experience. And I watched those home movies constantly. And 10 years old was another one. And then 20 years old, or 21 years old, that was a whole other one where, you know, you got to hit the Rainforest Cafe and have your 21-year-old drink before you go hit Splash Mountain. And that changed the whole thing about Disney. And that was just magical. So, you know, between all three.
Both of those at all.
No, I know. You can at least go. No, I know.
No,
but you can. I know both those things are gone. Well, you know, as long as there's booze.
Something there, but yeah.
Yeah, you know. Well, you know. Yeah. Way to be a Debbie Downer, Jason.
I know. Gosh. I was just saying, you know, at least you got to do it back then. That's what I was getting.
So, anyways, no, just kidding.
No, but like, what age do you think you were when you started thinking about the guy who created Disney and not just the cartoons? You know, like you found your love for the man and what he did.
See, and for me, it wasn't. I mean, the man was quite recently. And here's the thing: I'm a character. I'm a cartoon guy. So mine would have been here's the real answer. It would have been when I started thinking about Mickey's voice. And so growing up, I was just so fascinated about voices. So I would watch something like Ninja Turtles. I'd be like, oh, you know, Leonardo's voice is this person over here. Did you know that Michelangelo's voice is the Tick's voice? You know, I bet you didn't know that. But I would piece these voices together, and I tuned my ear because especially early on, because I'm like, oh, that's Pat Buttram, that's Pat Buttram, that's. But then I started doing it to other people, and just fascinated because there's so much overlap. Rob Paulson obviously did so many voices, you know, Jim Cummings doing so many voices, but we never got to see their faces back in those days. It was the 90s. So you would hear their voices, but you never got to see their faces. And so, you know, I remember when like Jason Marsden took over for Max in a Goofy movie. I was like, that's the guy from Step by Step and Full House. I know that voice. because I watched these
the shows,
these shows all the time. And so I got so interested in voices. So I think, when it comes to Walt, when it comes to, like, when did you become, well, I knew as a kid Walt was the first Mickey Mouse, and so, but it's not in that expected, well, who's Walt? He's such a fascinating guy. I'm like, as far as I cared, Walt was Mickey Mouse. Okay, he was the guy that did Mickey Mouse. Cool. Awesome. Who else does Mickey Mouse? How did they? So my whole world, even then, is beautiful and prestigious and creative, and as Disneyland was, I was always sucked into the world of voice acting, and I think my biggest, I would say my biggest, why I was the most impressed with Walt wasn't Disneyland. It was the fact that he's Mickey Mouse. That's really what it was.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, your whole basis is voices. It's what
I'm a sick man.
Levitate towards,
Yeah, I know. I know what you're trying to say.
No. Yeah, but other than voices, though, you also are an artist.
I try. I wanted to be a syndicated cartoonist. That's sometimes these things overlap. So when I was a kid, I loved, my favorite is Calvin and Hobbes, and I loved the philosophical, dry, it was like no other cartoon comic strip I've ever experienced, and so I was obsessive as a kid, but that helped me in comedy. So I would study cartoon strips as comedy. I would draw my own, and it helped me in acting because you got 4 panels. You got to deliver the punchline in the way that a punchline should be delivered, and there was just so much to learn from that world of being and now it's funny, anyone could, the world of syndicated cartoonists, those days are gone. If you're really hungry, you really push your content, you can literally be what my dream was. Like anyone can. You can, if you're good enough, at least you can draw your cartoons and put it out there, and you can be a self-syndicated person. You can be a self-promoted publisher, and but I wasn't, I'll put it this way. My art is okay, but
it's good. I've seen it. You showed us. Yeah.
It's not as good. It's not, I'm a millennial. I'm almost 40 years old, and we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have all the people that are putting out art now is just amazing. It is beautiful and much better than I could ever do. And I celebrate that. I think it's wonderful. But I will say, like my little, I still do art when I can, and I think it's informed me and challenged me to be what I think what my passion is now, which I think is harder, like to be a voice actor, hopefully.
Yeah.
But it's informed me in comedy and acting and all those things, and so it's just I
music.
I play guitar, and so I don't know.
Did you ever do any kind of regular acting, where on camera or anything?
Yeah, I did not on camera
on stage or something, or
no, but I live in Fayetteville, North Carolina right now, and there's some acting stuff here, and I'm part of this church sometimes that does like some acting stuff, and like there's a director who's like, she looks at me the other day, she goes, Jeff, because it's just voice reading. It's basically just a reading, like it's for Easter. It's just for Easter, so I get to be the hothead Peter disciple character. And I could be like, I get to be mad. I'm like, she's like, do you know your character? I'm like, yeah, it's like the Donald Duck of the disciples. I get hot, but I like it. She goes, Jeff, you're an actor. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. And then what?
You want me to do Goofy again? Come on.
Yeah. I didn't know that's what I did. I was like, oh, gosh, thank you. And I'm like, why did I say that? I'm such an idiot. I don't know why.
Half the time it just comes out naturally.
I know.
Just like you hear the, walking into me, I hear Goofy.
Yeah. Well, and that brings up a good point. It's like there's such a difference between voice acting and voice acting, and the acting part is the biggest part of it, and that's the part that you really have to learn. Is like the way I study Goofy, I play around with Donald Duck. It's not, I don't act Donald Duck. I'm like laughing at how bad my impression is. Right. But when it comes to Goofy, I don't play around. Like this is acting, and it's not just about, it's voice matching is what I like to say. And there's a lot of my own acting came from Bill Farmer, like just studying him, and especially a Goofy movie where he would get so like, high and punchy, but then he would bring it down low, and you have that, you put yourself in that moment of being Goofy, and it's like, wait, Maxie, wait up, and you're like, well, you forgot your lunch. It's like, I'm so concerned that Max will have a good day. Like I'm worried, and or when
because he does that a lot in that movie.
It's my favorite, and where it's like, I don't want you in when Max like screams at him, he's like, well, I know that. I just wanted you to be part of it. Like the way he just like breaks down, like, I know that. Like you never hear Goofy so like frustrated. I know, like, and then he brings it down, like, because that's the way Goofy would do. And it's like, well, I just wanted you to be part of it, and just that delivery and that, but it's more than that. It's like feeling that emotion is just so important, man. Yeah. And I think that's where that's the difference between voice acting and voice acting is like, and poor Bill on Goofy movie, man, he voice acted on that thing, I think, for a long time, because they just retake. They just, but I think probably as traumatic as that experience was for Bill, I think we got something very, very good out of it, especially in the world of Goofy. And that's why I'm like, a Goofy movie, and even the Extremely Goofy movie was on that same as Extremely Goofy movie was. Like, it is hit and miss. You still got that heart from Bill, and that's I love that man, and he's just I love watching when they show the actors or the voice actors acting out their voice, when they show the camera on them and they're actually reading, but they're acting as they're reading. It's really cool to see how that translates. And they don't get to do that as much anymore. Like, used to, you'd be in a studio with a bunch of people and you would work off each other. Yeah. And now it's just like, okay, you're in your basement and here's your,
here's your
Neumann U87 and your, all your setup, and just submit it into Disney, and they'll just, Extremely Goofy movie. Bill didn't even get to work with, this was his love interest, Sylvia. Yeah. Sylvia, is that? I think it's Sylvia. And he didn't even get to work with her face to face, but then
it's a lot harder.
Yeah, no, it's just impersonal, and it shows. Yeah. I think it shows, and like Goof Troop was, it was like a radio play. Like, they're all around each other.
Yeah. Hey, they're Goof. And that's how you feed off. You feed off each other. Yeah.
How you doing? It's like, I'm doing okay. And it was sort of that trade-off where you just got.
I love how you do that. Your whole job.
That's, and those days are, people. I think people like, I'm a big fan of the greats. I love Jim Cummings. I love, and Bill Farmer, but I love everyone before them, and I love, talking Winnie the Pooh, like, Jim is, and Tigger. Jim is great, but like, you had like Sterling Holloway before. No, hello. Yeah. Oh, bother. Oh, no, I'm up and down, touch the ground. Oh, it gets me in the mood. And
and then he was the snake in
no, hi there, man cub.
Yeah.
Oh, go
Jungle
to
Book.
sleep. Go to sleep.
Now, did he play the snake in Robin Hood as well?
No, that was somebody else. I don't know who that was, and I have to admit I don't. But
I can't even remember what it sounded like.
Yeah,
I
can't remember
he had
either.
a lisp, but it was like
right. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Fire, Robin Hood, fire.
Yeah.
King Hiss or something.
But it's funny. It's like that's Sterling. I remember him from
hello,
Andy Griffith. He was on Andy Griffith, and I'm like, hey, that's the voice of Winnie the Pooh.
It is, yeah. He was on that. He was on a lot, and just I'm a huge fan of him too, and I've dug into his life, and if there was one person I could bring back from the dead and to have lunch with, he would be one of them. I would just love to, because he was Pooh Bear. No,
yeah,
and there's a story Jim Cummings has of Jim, if you're listening, I hope I get this right. I don't think Jim actually met Sterling Holloway forever, but like face to face. But he was in a restaurant, and he hears, no, I do believe I would like the chowder. And he goes, and this is little Jim, or like younger, and he's like, that's Pooh Bear's voice. So I think he heard his voice, but I don't know, or I don't think he ever officially met him, which I think is very important. And here's why. When I've met Bill Farmer, Goofy, there were things that I could hear in real life from his voice that I could not get. One was his
that's cool.
his yuck, because Bill punches it. So I'm like, I used to do a yuck a different way, but then I heard and then the difference between mine and Bill's Goofy is, if you go back to like Goof Troop days, Bill's voice is a lot more like mine. You get into his voice now, which it changes as you get older, but also sometimes you just become more comfortable with it. And that's what I really think. I think Bill's voice is the best it's ever been, is Goofy.
Yeah.
It's more warbly. Well, there's more warble in the voice. There's this little bit more up and down, and there's more, which is mine's a little bit more punchy,
Right.
A little bit more Goof Troop like. Well, when I heard Bill do the he gets into it. So sometimes I feel this wave of guilt as if I'm doing Goofy's voice. I'm like, hiya, it's nice to meet you. And then I go, no. It should be, it's nice to meet you. See, I almost had an aneurysm.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he like the way he just, it's aggressive, it's assertive, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. And but seeing that in person was like, I went to my wife Hannah. I was like, Hannah, seeing Bill do it right in front of my face, and studying it for so long, then it was just the most, like, oh, that's how you do it. You gotta do your Goofy's voice a little bit more warbly. And you gotta go, oh, like, oh. See, it wasn't even that good. I can't do it as good as Bill, but it's, it's the bar that I wake up and I hope to achieve, and I'm
you're there.
I'm getting there, and better than anyone else.
I love hearing it, but I love watching you do it and how enthusiastic you get about it.
You have to. You have to. It's the only way. You got to have love in your heart. You got to be in a place. Look at him.
I know. You hit your head on your microphone.
I know. You have to. I mean,
what I'm wondering is there anything else that you're as passionate about?
It's my main one. I just love Goofy.
I know, but like, are you that passionate about music or?
No.
Yeah,
not really. No, I'm just as passionate or more about my family.
Okay.
You know, I think one of my biggest problems and why I don't have more content is just because, I do think it's important to keep first things first and second things second. And as much as I love my Goofy voice, I care about my family and my dogs and my,
I mean, I think we're all sort of like that. That's why this podcast is a week late.
At a buck short.
Yeah.
At least that's me. I'm the buck short.
No, I mean, but I had to put job first in some places because we all need money. Right. So I would love to be able to just make videos all day long, and I'm sure you would love to do Goofy's voice all day long.
Oh, be my dream.
Yeah.
And just and to make people happy and smile.
Yeah,
it'd be wonderful. And no, but I think we all agree on that. It's like, there's things I like, but there's things like you can like them, but what do you like? And here's my ending thing. What do you like and what are you good at? And I think the mix of those two will lead you in good places. Like I said, I didn't find the Goofy voice. It found me, but I really like it. And I like it, and
that's for me. That's like programming. Like I like doing it, and spoiler, we're making a game show thing. When I'm doing that, you can ask Steve. Like I'm in my zone, and I'm happy, and I'm doing it. But when I'm working, is my day job
different.
I'm like, totally I don't want to do like that as much. Like. Yeah, but all day long, I can work on the game show,
Oh, I love martial arts. That's one.
Well, there you go.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Like I've done nonprofits.
I knew there was something else that we were
Sorry, I knew. I was like, oh, yeah. Why did I?
Because you did music, you did art, your voice.
So I've opened up, nonprofits and I love teaching martial arts. I'm meek and mild. I work in the church stuff sometimes, but then I started cage fighting when I was in seminary, and I'm like, that's a weird thing, but that's what I was. And I'm like, well, we both signed contract, we both signed like waivers, so not that. But I just love martial arts. I do jujitsu and kickboxing, and it's so much fun, and I love teaching.
You teach the kids, right? And stuff.
So what I loved was as fun as fighting. I'm getting older, man. I'm getting older, but I love teaching. I love and at the heart, of who I am, I love teaching and being a teacher. So
is there a certain age group, or is it all ages? Or
it was like 8 years old to as old as 100 years old. Like whoever's living and wants to do a kickboxing class, it didn't matter. And
so do you have like a place by your house now that you can teach?
Yeah, there's a karate school that I teach now, and I'm in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So it's a big military town, and we're doing a combatives class, and there's it's Scro karate. If anyone's in North Carolina, you just come and hang out. Come hang out with your old pal Goofy. We'll do some karate. Hi-ya.
Yeah.
Hi-ya. I don't know how Goofy would do hi-ya. Hi-ya.
Yeah.
I just like on that. I don't know how would Goofy do.
Goofy in a karate uniform.
I don't know how he would do it. Something crazy.
And he'll mess up everything.
It's got to be Goofy in a karate uniform with a green belt and is wearing his hat. And
I love it. I can see it already. That would be wonderful. Well, I think that's good for me. Because we're going to go on a different podcast. No, we're going to go on a different podcast here soon.
I think we can have some more questions. Just kidding.
No, we got it. Okay, let's wrap it up. Hey,
let's wrap it.
Anyone who's listening, we're gonna go to Sharing the Magic podcast. Jason will link it.
I will link it down in the description below.
All right, let's go. Let's have fun.
That's
Let's
Jeff's
go
other
crash.
podcast.
Let's go crash this party. We're gonna go to a different Disney. Wars. Let's go. Well, party's on me. Let's go. I don't know what Donald just said, but.
Well, thanks, Jeff. It was really cool listening to knowing a little bit more about you. We knew more about you, but I meant our audience and stuff get to know a little bit more about you. And stuff.
Obviously, we all took turns trying to do an interview of ourselves, and
well, this was wonderful, and it was really fun. Yeah. So thank you all.
And we're always happy to have you.
I love you guys. You guys know I love you guys.
Yeah, well, that's why we're all here still together, and
yeah.
I think, at this point in my life, I don't have as many friends as I used to, like, because leaving high school and all them, like, I don't really talk to many of them. So having you guys to talk to all the time is kind of cool. So
it is cool. It's cool for me.
And our audience talking to
our audience, yes.
Yeah. I know.
They don't talk back to us as much as we talk.
I wish
to
they
them.
would comment more. They need to comment more.
And I was just exactly where I was going. Steve and I are always on the same page.
Jason and I are like brothers from another mother.
We have like the same mind. It's weird.
It's the funniest thing.
But now I lost my place. I was going to say, we have a voicemail where you can leave a message. And so far, no one's done it. I've created some fake messages, which are kind of funny. But, you guys can just say whatever you want. Let us know how we're doing, or just leave a comment.
What you'd like for us to do?
Yeah, or leave a comment for Jeff or
talk
whatever.
About. Yeah.
And we if we like it, we'll play on the next show.
All right.
Cool.
You can also comment down below, and as I said before, share with your friends and family. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next time.
Oh,
bye,
yeah.
End of line.